What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are going to talk about the Death Scourge. We are going to talk about specifically the teams required for the Death Scourge. We are taking a look at the Bionic Avengers, and we are going also to take a look at Wakanda, see what each of these teams brings to the table and where exactly we have to invest in order to be successful on this upcoming Death Horseman Scourge, where we'll be able to obtain the long-awaited Archangel. So this is going to be, this information, this analysis that we are going to make, it's going to be useful for new players and veteran players alike. So as always, if you like the information on this video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. Okay, so let's get started. Let's take a look at each of these teams, Bionic Avengers and Wakanda, see what they bring to the table, the pros and cons of using each of these teams, and then decide which is the best team to obtain Archangel. So let's get started. Okay, so we are going to start off by taking a look at the Bionic Avengers. We have three new characters. We have Hulkbuster, Deadlock, and V-Vision, and we have two old characters. We have Vision and Iron Man. So in terms of stats, overall, the new characters have way better stats than the old characters, not only in terms of HP, but also in terms of armor and in terms of damage, focus, and everything in between. On top of that, the new characters are also way cheaper than the old characters, and even on top of that, the new characters have more convenient centerpiece uniques that will allow you to gear them up easily, whether it is to gear tier 14, 15, but also if you want to go a little bit further than that and take them to gear tier 16, you are going to take advantage on gearing up these new characters. So taking a look at Hulkbuster. Hulkbuster is a very powerful character. Not only has tons and tons of HP, he also does a lot of damage with his abilities because they attack multiple characters. We have the ultimate that applies slow to all enemies, and it's an unavoidable attack, so he'll always apply the slow. He also gives barrier to the entire team. With this special, he's going to apply offense down to adjacent characters and the primary target for 2 turns, which is also massive, and he also gives barrier to the entire team once again. And he also is able to provide energy to his allies, and he can protect his allies with a taunt in case Iron Man is an ally and Iron Man drops below 50% health. Hulkbuster is going to taunt instantly, and in case Hulkbuster takes too much damage, he is going to set himself on stealth and is going to apply offense down to all the enemies. So you can see that in terms of negative effects, this guy can provide tons and tons of damage to the enemies. Once again, unavoidable attacks, provides energy, provides control with the slow and with offense downs, and provides increased survivability with all that barrier. So this is a very, very powerful character, and once again, because it's one of the new characters, you are going to be able to get him up much easier to higher levels and to higher gear tiers. Okay, let's take a look at the second character. We have Deadlock, and Deadlock provides offense up to all Bionic Avengers. He also provides energy with his special and with his ultimate, and he also has an ability block, which is going to be extremely important. And specifically for the Scourge, and specifically for situations like Dark Dimension or raids, having these ability blocks is extremely important because it's going to stop the enemies from using their abilities. So for example, if you are facing Magneto or Doctor Doom or other characters that have problematic ultimates, you have these ability blocks that are going to be crucial in order for you to be successful. On top of that, he also has a passive that increases the damage of all Bionic Avengers by 45%, 15% on each turn, and that's going to be massive to increase your damage output with this team. So we have the combination of Hulkbuster and Deadlock that will by themselves just do tons and tons of damage to the enemies. Once again, as I mentioned, Deadlock is going to provide the offense up to the team, which is going to increase their damage even more. Now, in terms of this character specifically, in a situation of Scourge, not in terms of raids. You might consider him as a striker, so you can take a little bit more advantage from the bleeds rather than from the crits. But this is something, this is a niche that you have to decide in case you want to push for those higher levels of the Scourge rankings. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at V-Vision, one of the new characters as well. And V-Vision, she's able to apply ability block and offense down to the enemies as well on a decent cooldown, and she's also able to provide energy with her special. With her ultimate, it's a very powerful ability that can apply blind to multiple characters as long as they are on the same lane on the enemy side, and she's able to flip negative effects into positive effects on the Bionic Avengers team. But not only that, it also works with any team. So with the Bionic Avengers, she flips all the negative effects with other allies that are not Bionic Avengers. She's only going to flip 2 negative effects into positive effects. But this ability is extremely powerful because of that, because of the blinds, because of the energy, and also because we have more unavoidable attacks. So even if you have some dodgy characters on the enemy side, V-Vision is going to be able to land her abilities. Now, V-Vision, she's also able to provide healing whenever the Bionic Avengers allies get ability energy. This is not super amazing, it's a decent ability. The other thing that she's able to provide, and this is very convenient, is that whenever a character goes below 50% health, as long as they are Bionic Avengers, she's going to clear disrupt, she's going to clear heal block, and she's going to apply stealth to them. This is very convenient because she's going to protect the allies. So in situations where Hulkbuster or Deadlock or any of the other Bionic Avengers characters drop below 50% health, she's going to be able to protect them. She's going to get tons and tons of armor, and she's also going to provide more armor to her allies. So V-Vision, very good character for the Scourge events because of exactly all those abilities. Now, in terms of Vision, this is where the value of this character starts to drop a little bit, and Vision is able to apply defense up to the team on spawn, but after that he's not able to provide a lot of things. He gives also additional focus to these allies, which is good to apply all those negative effects, the bleeds, the blinds, the defense downs, the slows, and also the offense down. So it's going to be important for you to have Vision for that additional focus and the spawn with defense up, but beyond that, his passive is not doing much for you. Now, in terms of the ultimate, he's going to apply bleeds, he's going to clear positive effects on the enemies. This is going to be nice in case you want to remove some taunts from the enemies, or in case they have a lot of offense subs and so on. And once again, we have another ability that is unavoidable. This is great because in case you are facing like the Young Avengers, yes, it was hard to get them. So in case you are facing like Young Avengers, or in case you are facing multiple Lady Death Strikes, or in case you are facing Web Warriors or any other kind of dodgy characters, even Vision himself, you are going to have additional abilities that are unavoidable. Okay, so on top of that, Vision is also able to apply ability block to the characters, so this will allow you to stay protected from abilities like the Doctor Doom ultimate, Magneto, or any kind of other ultimates, even Cyclops ultimate or Storm's ultimate. This is going to be extremely important that you have these ability blocks available for you to use. And finally, we have Iron Man, and Iron Man is able to apply defense down to the enemies with his basic. This is a chain attack, so you can apply defense down to multiple characters. Then with his special, is able to extend the negative effects on the enemies. This ability is very convenient if you use the ultimate from V-Vision, and then use this ability, you are going to extend all those blinds, and it's very important. And it's also an unavoidable attack. With this ultimate, you have a single target nuke, and is also able to provide energy to his allies. With his passive, is going to increase the crit chance of the allies, but most of the crit chance and the crit damage and so on Most of it is only useful in raids because that's where you get the highest bonus, and this is why I said that you might consider changing specifically Deadlock to a striker in case you want to take advantage of the bleed damage rather than just the crit damage, because it really depends which enemies you are facing. If you are facing a lot of enemies with deflects, that's going to be a problem. So it's something that you need to adapt depending on which enemies we are facing. So in terms of the pros, why should you use these teams? So I made a list of them. We have many unavoidable attacks. This is going to be great against characters with a lot of evades and characters with a lot of dodge. Then we have mass barrier. We have tons and tons of barrier coming out of Hulkbuster, and because they are getting energy all the time, this barrier will be replenished constantly as well. Then we have mass offense down, we have mass slow, we have many chances, we have many characters with ability blocks which will stop the enemies from using their abilities, and this team has a lot of damage, especially if the match is going to last more than just a few turns. In case the Death Horseman Scourge is going to be somewhat similar to what all the Scourges we had in the past, these fights always last a few turns, and if you can stay with your Deadlock alive for more than 3 turns, they are going to have all their damage increased by 45%, which is just going to be massive. Then these characters have tons and tons of health thanks to all the bonuses from Hulkbuster and also the additional barrier that it also counts as health, and this team is needed for raids, so it's going to be a good investment for you because you have to use them in raids anyway. You have to use them for Doom 2 and you also have to use them for Doom 3. If you want to have the easiest experience on those raids, Doom 2 or Doom 3, you need these teams. So the investment on them is always justified. Now, in terms of the cons of the Bionic Avengers, we have the fact that the team is kind of slow. They don't have the best speed, and if you are applying slow to the enemies, but they are able to clear those slows away with like Squirrel Girl or any character that clears negative effects, then you are going to have some problems because the team is just not fast enough. The team also has a low amount of healing, so you might want to adapt or your isolate based on that. Instead of having Hulkbuster as a striker, you might want to change him to a healer isolate, just to make sure that your team has enough sustain to keep them constantly alive, because from other sources the team just doesn't have enough healing. Beyond that, we have another problem with this team, which is the fact that they only have defense up on spawn. After that, if you want defense up once again, you have to use the abilities from V-Vision or Ultimate in order to flip defense down into defense up, and that's something that is not super convenient. And lastly, the last con for this team is the fact that we have 3 new characters, and the Deadlock and also the Hulkbuster event was not the best in terms of character shards, so your characters might not be as big as they need to be in order for you to be successful. As I said before, the investment on them is quite easy compared to older characters. They don't require as many mini uniques, so that compensates the fact that you don't have as many yellow stars or red stars on the new characters. So that's the Bionic Avengers. As you can see, it's a very powerful team with tons and tons of utility and tons and tons of abilities for you to take advantage of, and they are very powerful on situations like raids, like Dark Dimension, and for sure they're also going to be extremely good on Scourge. So now let's take a look at Wakanda, see what they bring to the table. Then we're going to take a look at the pros and cons of the Wakanda and see what they have in terms of advantage compared to the Bionic Avengers. Okay, so let's take a look at the Wakanda, and we're gonna start from the worst characters to the best characters, the characters that will be more convenient for us in situations like raids, Dark Dimension, and of course Scourge, which is specifically what we are taking a look at. So starting off with Killmonger. Killmonger, he does damage, and that's it. That's what he brings to the table. It's just damage, and it's not even that much damage. He has long cooldowns on his ultimate and especially single target damage, so he's not able to provide a lot. On defense up, he does retaliation attacks, and he has some drain, so that gives himself some sustainability. But beyond that, this guy is completely useless in situations like the Scourges. Now we're going to take a look at the second character that does not provide much, and that's going to be the Power Ranger Nakia. And unfortunately, Nakia is another character that does mostly damage. With her basic, she's able to clear some positive effects on the enemies. This is on a chain attack, and the chain will break in case the enemies dodge. So based on the kit of these characters, I'm expecting us to face a lot of dodgy characters on this upcoming Death Scourge. So with her basic, she's able to clear positive effects from the enemies. With her special, she's going to be able to apply Disrupt to one character, and that's it. So that's a big yikes. And then with her ultimate, she's able to do damage. That's it. So as you can see, she's not gonna provide much to the Wakanda team, to the War Dogs team for the Death Scourge. With her passive, she increases the damage and the focus of the War Dogs, but that's only in Alliance Wars. So for this specific context of the Scourge, for the Death Horseman, for Archangel, Nakia is not going to be a good option. Okay, so now let's talk about the characters that are a little bit better, and once again we are going to take a look at the worst characters to the best, but at this point you don't have many options left. Okay, so in terms of Black Panther, he does tons and tons of damage, but not only that, he's also able to provide the positive effects to the team, including offense up and counters. With those counters we can apply different things like heal block or remove positive effects from the enemies or apply defense down. So these counters are going to be extremely useful in that specific context of the Death Scourge. Now in terms of his ultimate, he does damage to multiple characters. He does more damage if he has charges, so it really depends if you can use this ability, if you can time it exactly in a way that brings some advantage to you. Sometimes that's going to be useful. We have seen on the previous Scourge, on the Scourge for Red Hulk, that if you can kill the enemies around the same time, that's going to be beneficial for you. And if you kill characters with Black Panther, he's going to get additional turns, and that's going to be awesome. And in case we are facing characters that are summoners, that summon minions, that's going to be very convenient for us to use Black Panther. Now on top of that, he also gets deflates and he also gets regeneration whenever he gets defense up, and it's going to be quite often. So this is an indirect way of increasing the sustainability and the mitigation of this character with these deflects and with also the regeneration. So Black Panther is definitely a character that you want to have on your team. Now taking a look at other characters, let's take a look at Okoye. And Okoye, she's going to assist on the turns of every Wakanda ally. This will allow you to remove positive effects from the enemies of one target whenever she assists with her basic. And also she is going to apply vulnerabilities to the enemies. So depending if you have many characters with Striker Isolate or not, you'll be able to do more damage to the enemies thanks to Okoye. So that's going to be very convenient for us. On top of that, Okoye, she's also able to apply offense down for 2 turns to multiple characters with a chain attack, and the cooldown is pretty decent. This is not as good as Hulkbuster, but it's pretty decent because Hulkbuster, he attacks multiple times and that allows you to clear multiple deflects from the enemy. So it's definitely a good option for Okoye because she's still able to apply offense down to multiple characters. Finally, we have the ultimate from Okoye, and this ability does a nice amount of damage, but the best part is the turn rewind by 50% on one character. It's not as good as the ability blocks that the the Bionic Avengers have available to them, but it's still something that can be convenient. If you can turn rewind the enemy, that's always good. But if you are facing a situation where you're facing Magneto or Doctor Doom or Storm or Cyclops or whatever, turn rewinding them might just not be enough because they get turn meter from other sources or they get speed up from other sources, and this turn rewind, especially without slow, might not be good enough for you to win in the Death Scourge. So we have some options here. We have some good utility from Okoye. It's just not as good as what we have with the Bionic Avengers. Now let's take a look at Black Panther 1 million. We should call him like what? Jurassic Panther? I'm gonna start calling him Jurassic Panther. Okay, so with Jurassic Panther, we are gonna be able to apply defense down to multiple characters on a very low cooldown. So this is gonna be very convenient for you. So you can do mass damage with the Black Panther, with T'Challa, and the only problem with this ability is that the rebound chain, so you don't know exactly if you're going to apply defense down to all characters or not, and that might compromise your chances of success with the Black Panther. Jurassic Panther is also able to copy and clear 5 positive effects from the enemies, and then is going to spread all positive effects on himself to all War Dogs. It's not to all Wakanda, it's to all War Dogs. And this ability is extremely powerful because if you spread defense up, that's going to activate all the abilities from the Black Panther and also from Shuri. So it's going to provide the flex and regeneration to Black Panther, and it's going to provide defense up to Shuri, which will grant her energy. So this ability is very powerful. It has a 4 energy cooldown cost, so you can use this ability quite often, and it's very good in case your enemies have positive effects. Beyond that, on defense up, he's going to get offense up, and that's pretty much it. He's going to get more armor, but it's only for himself. The other best thing about this character is that he's able to provide turn meter to the War Dog allies. So this is going to include all Wakanda except M'Baku and except Killmonger. So this guy is quite convenient, and we have seen it before on my testing on Dark Dimension that he was very powerful on situations like the Scourges. Okay, finally we have M'Baku, and is M'Baku going to be a good character for the Death Scourge? Is he going to be the game changer character? Probably yes. Maybe this is going to be the big surprise, is that M'Baku might be one of the best characters for the Death Scourge. And the reason why is because of his special ability. So this ability costs 3 energy, comes full, you can use it on the first turn, and is going to apply Taunt to M'Baku. Is going to give him 2 charges, which are going to be very important, and is going to apply counters once again to all Wakanda allies. Now this ability is better than the ability from Black Panther, because Black Panther, he needs to crit in order to apply counters to his allies. So in case he's blinded or in case he's attacking against enemies with deflects, he's not going to be able to provide those counters, and M'Baku in this specific situation will always apply the counters. On top of that, this ability will also apply defense up for 2 turns to all Wakanda allies, even the new ones, Nakia and the Jurassic Panther. So this will allow you to spread the defense up once again with the Jurassic Panther, give more energy to Shuri, and also give in energy to Shuri because he's also applying the defense up. So M'Baku with his special ability is actually very good. Now in terms of his ultimate, he attacks multiple characters. It has a very long cooldown, but he applies vulnerability to multiple characters. So this will allow you to apply vulnerability to some character that you don't want to focus early on with Okoye, and with that you can take advantage of Black Panther and Jurassic Panther to use their eyes await attacks in case you have them as a striker, which you should. On top of that, M'Baku is going to apply 2 charges to all Wakanda characters, War Dogs or not, and that will activate all their different effects. With Shuri you are going to get more healing because of the charges. With Jurassic Panther is going to give more turn meter to all war dogs, not to M'Baku specifically, but all war dogs. So that's going to be convenient because it's going to be most of your team. And with himself, with giving charges to himself, he's actually able to do a lot of things. So if he's charged, he's going to have a very, very high block chance. He has 100% block chance if he's charged, and he's going to get 50% block amount. That means he's going to reduce the damage by 50%, on top of the 25% from the passive, and on top of the flex. So if he has the flex, he's going to block all damage. And when he loses one charge and he blocks, he's going to heal himself by 10%, and whenever he gets defense up, he's also going to heal himself by 10%. And yes, this also activates with his special ability. So as you can see, M'Baku is able to provide a lot of healing. He has a lot of passive abilities that trigger with other abilities that you activate anyway. So this is going to be one of the good things about Wakanda, is that they have so many off-turn abilities. If you give defense up, multiple characters are healing in themselves, multiple characters will get deflects, multiple characters will activate different abilities. And whenever you get defense up, you are giving more energy, then you can get more defense ups with other characters, you can get defense ups from the enemies, and this is going to provide a cycle of energy that is going to be very convenient for you with the Wakanda team. So in terms of the notes that I took, that the pros of the Wakanda team, we have the heal block from Shuri that can stop characters like Silver Surfer. We have the constant defense up from Shuri, from Baku, and also from Jurassic Panther. Then this team is extremely fast, and they have tons and tons of energy, which will allow you to use their abilities multiple times. We have the indirect healing once again, because it triggers whenever the characters get defense up or whenever they use their charges. They get the offense ups, they have the counters that will allow you to clear positive effects, will apply defense downs to the enemies, that will allow you to apply heal block to the enemies. And this team is going to be very, very powerful against summoners, against characters that summon minions, like Mr. Negative, Nick Fury, Hela, many characters that we have in game that are summoners, and you can take advantage of that with the Wakanda and the War Dogs. Finally, we don't have many characters that are new. The best character that is convenient for us to use is the Jurassic Panther, the Black Panther 1mm, and that means that you have most of the characters maxed out. You have Black Panther, Okoye, M'Baku, Shuri, Killmonger already at 7 yellow stars, and that will allow you to sack the nodes in case you need with Killmonger, or you just have the characters already close to maxing out. Finally, in terms of the pros, this is a very nice team for Cosmic Crucible. Now, depending on your feelings on Cosmic Crucible, that might be a good thing or not, but it's other game mode where they are going to be very, very good, and you can use them both either on defense or offense. And now the Wakanda, they are also good in Alliance Wars, so it's up to you. It's a good team. It's not a must-have team like the Bionic Avengers. The Bionic Avengers, you must have them for the tech nodes where you are doing Doom 2 or Doom 3. The Wakanda is not a must-have team, but it's a very nice to have team because they will allow you to be successful in Cosmic Crucible and also in Alliance Wars. Now, in terms of the cons for the Wakanda, we have tons and tons of dodges, and if you are facing characters with dodges, if you are facing characters with evades, the Wakanda really sucks against those kind of characters. They have really hard time dealing with those specific situations, so be careful with that. Then we have the fact that the Wakanda, they don't have many ways of dealing with negative effects, and therefore you have to be very careful with the ultimate ability of Shuri in order for you to clear the negative effects exactly when you need. Even that this team has a lot of energy, if for some reason you get a defense down, or not defense down, in case you get slow on Shuri, or in case you get ability block for Shuri and it takes you a long time in order to use her ultimate ability, you are really gonna start struggling with the Wakanda. On top of that, this team really struggles against big dangerous characters like Doctor Doom, like Magneto, like Cloak and Dagger, like Storm, like Cyclops. Any of these characters that have those big ultimate moves, this team is gonna struggle because they don't have any kind of ability block. So this is gonna be a huge problem for the Wakanda, because when they are facing certain characters that don't have these dangerous abilities, they are amazing, but beyond that, you're gonna really struggle with them. And finally, we have a big problem, which is the gear. So yes, it's true that most of these characters are old, that you probably have most of them at 7 yellow stars and multiple red stars and so on. They require a huge investment in terms of gear. We have a lot of mystic characters, and mystic gear is something that has been a problem for a long time. You can even see that I don't have any mystic gear to invest on these guys because of that, and therefore it's going to be very hard for you to get them on high gear tier. So gear tier 14, gear tier 15, if you are trying to get them to gear tier 16, it's going to be a huge struggle. On top of the high requirements of mystic gear, you also have the centerpiece unique, which is the Vibranium. And because it's Vibranium, it's going to be really hard for you to gear up all these characters. So you might gear them up to gear tier 14, you might gear them up to gear tier 15, but if you are trying to get them beyond gear tier 15, you are really gonna struggle with the Vibranium. And this team, it was convenient, it was quite cheap because they were old characters, because they were all at 7 yellow stars and so on, but then it's gonna turn out a very expensive team because of all these requirements of mystic gear and the centerpiece uniques. The prices just get pretty ridiculous, and you have to be very careful with your farming in order for you to always buy the Vibraniums. Even the orange gear Vibranium, it's gonna be very scarce because all of them, or at least most of them, require the Vibranium. Only Nakia, if I remember correctly, only Nakia does not require Vibranium. So that's gonna be a huge deal and definitely a big con for this team. Okay, so now that we took a look at both teams, the Bionic Avengers and the Wakanda, what each of them bring to the table, which is going to be the best team. Once again, as I said before, if you are facing enemies that require a lot of ability blocks, in case the enemies have a lot of evades, or in case the enemies have a lot of positive effects and you are not able to clear all those positive effects and you just need a more sturdy team, the best team is definitely going to be the Bionic Avengers. In case you are facing enemies that have minions, in case you are facing enemies that do not have like problematic ultimate abilities like a Doctor Doom or something like that, and it's not required from you to have a lot of ability blocks, if it's just required for you to have a lot of damage, and in case you are facing a lot of characters that have a lot of regeneration like Squirrel Girl or like Silver Surfer, then the Wakanda is going to be the best option. But what if there is a third option and we can actually make a better team that solves all the problems that we have with each of them? The problems with the Bionic Avengers, once again, is that the team is too slow, it doesn't have consistent healing, it doesn't have consistent defense up, and a lot of the characters are new, therefore you have to balance their gear with their yellow stars. What if we can also stop the problems with dodges with the Wakanda? What if we can stop the problems with negative effects on the Wakanda? What if we can stop all those big threats like Doctor Doom, Magnetos, and all those crazy characters that have insane ultimates? Is there a better option than the Bionic Avengers, and there is a better option than the Wakanda? Yes, there is a better option. So let's take a look at that option, which is going to blow your mind. This team is so powerful, it's actually insane how good they are, and this is probably going to be the best 5 characters for the Death Scourge that will allow you to get Archangel at a very high yellow star. So let's take a look at this team. Okay, so here we go. This is the best team that you can actually take to the Death Scourge to get Archangel. So this team has zero problems. It fixes all the problems that we had. Characters with evades, no problem. We have Deadlock, we have Hulkbuster, and we have V-Vision, all of them with unavoidable attacks. Do we have big characters with insane ultimates like Doctor Doom? No problem. We have two characters, Deadlock and V-Vision, with ability blocks. Do we have any characters with problematic attacks like Pyro or characters like Echo? No problem. We have V-Vision that is able to apply blind to them. Then we have Hulkbuster that is able to provide barrier to everyone, even if they are not Bionic Avengers, is able to apply barrier to everyone. Then we have the problem that the Bionic Avengers, they don't have defense up all the time. Well, now with Shuri, they are going to get defense up all the time, no problem. Then M'Baku is going to provide counters to Shuri and defense up to Shuri. That's going to increase her energy, and that will allow Shuri to give more energy to the Bionic Avengers, which will allow V-Vision to heal more the team. Then V-Vision, she can clear the negative effects on the Wakanda characters and also on the Bionic Avengers characters. And we also have Shuri that is able to apply the heal block to characters problematic like Silver Surfer. And finally, we have two tanks, so in case the Hulkbuster is taking way too much damage, then you can taunt with M'Baku, and in case M'Baku is low, then you can taunt with Hulkbuster. This will allow you to have slow on the enemies, this will allow you to have offense down on the enemies, and in terms of damage, this team has no problems with damage because we have Deadlock, and Deadlock is able to do tons of damage, and he's still going to increase the damage on the Bionic Avengers by 45%. So this is going to be definitely the best team that you can take for the War Scourge. If you have only 5 characters to invest in, if you only have resources for 5 characters, these are going to be the best 5 characters you can take. And this is not gonna, I'm gonna show you, so you'll actually, I'm gonna blow your mind with how powerful this team is, and I'm just gonna press auto. I'm not even going to play it, I'm just gonna press auto and they'll play by themselves and you will see how good this team is. Okay, so we're gonna press auto and that's it. So defense up, we are providing energy to the Bionic Avengers. Once again, that energy will allow V-Vision to flip the negative effects into positive effects more often. It will allow Hulkbuster to apply slow and offense down to the enemies more often. It will allow Hulkbuster to apply the barrier to everyone more often. It will allow Deadlock and V-Vision to also ability block the enemies more often. So you can see right here, Hulkbuster provided barrier for everyone, even for M'Baku. Hulkbuster is able to apply the barrier. We have Shuri here with a heal block, and this team is just so good. It's actually impressive how good this team is. So, do you have to get up all Wakanda? If you don't care about Cosmic Crucible, if you don't care about Alliance Wars, no, you don't have to. Do you have to get up all Bionic Avengers? Taking a look at Vision and Iron Man, two characters that they are great in raids, but they are so expensive for getting up, and they also share the same uniques as the Gamma team, which might also be a problem for you. So you can see right here, look at that, the characters have constantly full health, the characters have constantly defense up, the characters are doing tons and tons of damage, they are just destroying these characters. This is on Dark Dimension 3, which is still, Dark Dimension 3 is still one of the hardest Dark Dimension because the enemies have insane amount of damage and they also have insane amount of health. If I would take this team to Dark Dimension 4, it would be even easier for them to defeat those enemies. So you can see the enemies are constantly with slow, the enemies are constantly with offense down, and you are constantly with the defense up, which is like reducing the damage by insane levels. You could also change the ISO weight of a few characters. With V-Vision you could use her as a striker to get some more deflects. It's not kind of necessary, and this will allow you to save a lot of ISO weight blue, because with this team you don't have to change any character to healer. You already have enough healing. You can see like all the characters are maxed out. The only change I would do is to make Deadlock a striker, just to make sure that his bleeds would also always do tons and tons of damage. So in my opinion, this is going to be the best 5 characters you can take for the Death Scourge, and it will allow you to just do insane things with them, and it will allow you to use the other characters, Iron Man, Vision, the Black Panthers and Okoye. You can use still those characters just as a sack, but if you are looking for the most consistent team, the most solid team, this is going to be Hulkbuster, Deadlock, V-Vision, M'Baku and Shuri. Like, you can see for yourself, it just destroys. I'm gonna show you on Dark Dimension 4 and you'll see this team is equally astonishing. This team is just incredible. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look at this team in action in Dark Dimension 4. Once again, I'm just gonna put on auto and let the team play by itself. Of course, if you are playing it yourself, you're gonna play a lot better, but I just want to show you how consistent this team is, and that overlapping both of these teams, you cover all the flaws, all the cons that each of the teams have. Okay, so here we go. We're going to apply defense up for everyone. That will allow you to get energy and healing going on the Bionic Avengers and also on the Wakanda. M'Baku doing tons and tons of damage. And now you're going to have a Deadlock applying some ability block and big damage to the enemies. And V-Vision, she's going to apply blind, and that's going to protect you from the Ghost Rider. Now you have Hulkbuster once again applying barrier to all the allies, whether they are Bionic Avengers or not. And we also have slow on the enemies. This will balance out the speed of the Bionic Avengers. And you can see now we have the offense down. The more turns that this team has, the more damage they will do. So as you can see, Dark Dimension 4, it's way easier for this team than Dark Dimension 3. Dark Dimension 3 was always a nightmare. And you can see right here that this team completely wrecks. This team is just so solid. You just have to see it for yourself. Like, defense subs, offense subs, healing all the time, barrier all the time, max health all the time. The only thing that this team doesn't have is speed up, but you can use the V-Vision ultimate in order to flip slow on for speed up on your team. And once again, this is going to work not only for Bionic Avengers but also to Wakanda. She just flips more negative effects into positive effects on Wakanda. And even if you start thinking about the Scourges, if you have some of those Scourges that apply heal block to our own team, or Scourges that apply defense down to our own team whenever they get energy, V-Vision together with Shuri is going to be the best option for you to be successful with all those additional Scourges that allow you to get higher levels and higher scores on the upcoming Death Scourge. Okay guys, so that's going to be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. So which of them is going to be the best team for the War Scourge? Is it the Bionic Avengers? Is it Wakanda? Well, make a mixture of both and solve all the problems each of these teams have, and complement them with parts of each of the teams, and just make a better team with all of them. Diversity in this specific case is a great strength because it covers all the flaws that the team has. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, and if you found information helpful, make sure to share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.